at white people headbang, man. That shit is brutal. I hurt my head doing that shit. My pretty hair. Oh, my hair's so pretty. I can't. It's not gonna last much longer. Look at how it used to be. Look at the color it used to be. And now I'm getting old, so now it's all this color. Shit is old. That shit's been around for a long time. Wow. I didn't think it was that long past my boobies. Didn't realize it was that long. Ugh. So, what's happening? Jesus. I hadn't even noticed the big fucking stripes. Look at this shit. Look how thick that motherfucker is. Jesus. Oh, man. It's crazy because I like, you know, I've got some things, some other, little tidbits that I'm going to talk about. Lately I've decided to drop the kids off at school, when I get ideas, I then send them to the other phone so that when I'm just little things that I want to talk about, whatnot. But at the end of the day, there is only one conversation to be had. There's only one thing that we should all be talking about, and that's how do we overthrow these Jays? Because that's just it. They're just awful. And, everything else to me is just a distraction. I don't know, man. It becomes an obsession. It becomes all-encompassing. But, I can't think of something that I'm more proud to be obsessed with or to be focused on or anything like that. I'm proud to be anti-supremacy. And I don't understand. I mean, I guess so much of it comes down to most people just not realizing things. Most people just sort of thinking, oh, is that... I seriously see that? Ah, damn it. The trees are all in the way. Yeah, that looks like a corkscrew. It's a small one. You guys won't be able to see it. I want to get some fuck Israel t-shirts, fuck Jayism t-shirts. A few different t-shirts. I want to get them made, and then I'm going to go stand out in front of the Adat Shalom cemetery. Just film what happens. Because these pieces of shit, they need to be exposed. Their supremacy, it all needs to be exposed. And really, I mean, the exposure is there. The thing is, they expose themselves. I think the issue seems to be that we don't realize that we're allowed to talk about it. We're allowed to destroy this thing. Just like any other cancer that exists, we need to eradicate the cancer so it doesn't spread any further than it already has. And that's, I just don't think we get it. I think, like, the crazy part is old people. There's lots of old people online, and there may be a couple of older people that come on here, but most of the detractors are younger, because old people know what I'm saying is true. I mean, everybody knows what I'm saying is true. If you're my age or older, you heard it many, many times growing up. either comedians or not one night, maybe not comedians, but like your parents, your grandparents, conversations you would hear the old people having, jokes you always heard, but the idea of the Jays controlling things, everybody knows that's actually what it is. It's just that we don't think we're allowed to. I don't know. I mean, I try to remember where I was before I was here. And I did the truther thing for a long time. And I can't say that there was any point where if somebody was like, I mean, I was, I've been influenced by the same machine you have. I went to the same school system and I'm in the same society, the same American brainwashed bullshit that you guys are. And I know, like, growing up, the only people I ever saw openly talk bad about the Jays, and they didn't even really talk bad, I mean, they just said things. You'd be told it's Nazis, it's skinheads, and occasionally you'd hear about a Farrakhan bullshit story, but for the most part, it was always Nazis and skinheads. And I really did think that when I grew up, that Nazi skinhead people would be a much more common occurrence than they actually are. But I know that, like, it was never looked at like that person is making valid points, that person might have something reasonable to say. It was always like, it doesn't matter what they're saying, they're a skinhead. And the uniform that they wore definitely contributed to that, because they had their jeans, their goofy jeans, and their suspenders, and their Doc Martens, and which is always funny too, because skinheads sort of have this aura that they're this misconception that they're poor. They're the poor white trash. Well, you can't be poor white trash and get a pair of Doc Martens. I'll tell you that right now. You ever tried to price out some Doc Martens? Those motherfuckers aren't cheap. So anybody that has a pair of Doc Martens, especially if they're a kid, and they have those rich parents. Yes. Where do I should go? What am I on? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, that's right. Sniff it out.
I don't know. Must be somewhere. Anyway. So, you know what? That's a good one. Let's look up skinheads. Let's see what it says. Well, here, wait. Where's one of the things that Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted. So, it's funny. My wife and I are sitting around last night. If you want to talk about submarines, go watch parts 1 through 9. So just a random video that I was watching last night. It was a compilation of like wackiest game show moments of all time. And they actually, I remember when they did it, early 2000s, they had like Wink Martindale and Ben Stein. They had this collection of game show hosts that put together, and they were You know, craziest thing said. Where's the craziest place you've ever wanted to make whoopee? In the ass? What's the common month that women start showing their pregnancy? September? That was the best one. That was fucking hilarious. But
She totally realizes.
right. Oh, so many of them do too. There's a distinct divide. There's the stupid ones like that hot blonde girl who is just dumb, and that's where I'm sort of getting to, is like if you go back and you watch old game shows, and probably still to this day, understand that the people that are on TV, it's not like they just have, you know, a fishbowl full of names and they pick one out and those people randomly get to be on TV. They got to go through a bunch of J producers and stagehands and all that, and they submit, and they're the fucking goofiest caricatures they can find. They find the best people for TV. So when you see really, really, really stupid people on TV, it's because they were put there so we could laugh at them. Because they knew they weren't going to win the thing. They knew they weren't going to make the money. It's just so we can laugh. Well, so they can laugh at them. And what you see pretty exclusively is J hosts or a J panel. Like maybe the host might not be J, like what the fuck, Match Game. What's Match Games? Gene Rayburn. You know, Gene Rayburn may not be Jay, but the entire panel, the 9 stars that, you know, that are on the show or whatever, they're all Jay. Or one of the older shows was To Tell the Truth, or to Tell the Truth. And they would have 3 people come out, and they would all pretend to be the same person, and then the panel of 4 J's would have to guess which one was the real person. And for every wrong answer you get $250. Like, the amounts of money were just stupid. That is true. Drama and mockery will always draw people in. So will excellence. My family started watching Jeopardy when that one dude was about to break Ken Jennings' streak and then answered the question purposefully wrong. Like the question he got wrong, I knew the answer to. How could I know it and he's fucking wrong? No, it will not. That's too positive thinking. No, it's true. We are lovers of excellence. I mean, football is exactly that. Do I love the NFL? No. Do I love all the bullshit involved and the celebrity? And no. Do I love watching the best people in the world at something go against each other to find out who the very best is? Fuck yeah. The Olympics is another great example. You know, that's one of the more highly rated program. I don't know. But like, people will watch shit. You'll watch like swimming. Think about that. You'll watch swimming. Swimming's on all the time. You could, if you had the right ESPN or whatever, you could probably find swimming all the time. You know, but you don't, because it's not the excellence. Excellence genuinely breeds resentment and jealousy. Well, I guess if you're shallow, you know, and you're not your best, if you're your best, then you want to be surrounded by the best. If you're not in a good place, then you probably think really negatively. And that's how they want us thinking. Oh, you mean like an inspiring figure? Beef, what's going on? Beef, come on, you got to be better than YOUR. Your YOU apostrophe RE, better than that. So the whole thing with the game shows is just, And the culmination of that, the ultimate expression of that was Win Ben Stein's money, right? Because Win Ben Stein's money, they could absolutely find people smart enough to win that show every single time. But instead, and if you don't remember that show, I'm sure you don't, but it was Jimmy Kimmel, Super J, who went on to do very J things and find some real J success with it. Jimmy Kimmel and Ben Stein, who Ben Stein, like the Bueller, the Ferris Bueller thing, that man was allowed to make an entire career out of a monotone, like, that was funny the first time I saw it. I can't imagine watching more than 5 seconds of Ben Stein and thinking that's funny. Yes, I'm smarter and better than you. Nah. Like, he's just awful. But Win Ben Stein's money was they would bring on Goyam and they would just make fun of them and humiliate them. And then at the end of the day, it's okay because well, they're paying you. It's like Kelly and the dentist. I can fucking humiliate you. I can bash you. I can do whatever. I'll just pay you. You'll be okay with it. Who wants to be a millionaire in the chase? Yeah, these are more. These are newer, and in the newer shows, it had to be hidden a little bit better. But if you go watch old shows like I was saying, to tell the truth, and the person I really wanted to look up more than anyone is Kitty Carlisle. You guys remember Kitty Carlisle? What do you think? You think she's a J? What do you think? Young Kitty Carlisle? You think, look at that schnoz. That whole thing, that whole shit, like everything about this is just so corny and clownish, but that was what they wanted. So Kitty Carlisle used to be, like, she had an entire career of being a panelist on game shows. She lived a really great she was already going to because she was a Carlisle. But she wanted to be on TV. She wasn't a good actress. She wasn't very pretty. She wasn't funny. So they would just have her be this, like, go watch episodes of To Tell the Truth. This bitch is sitting out there in a tiara and shit. Can I ask you, as a female, what situation would you ever wear a tiara in?
Never.
Never? Like, never? Like maybe you're the queen of the country or something, maybe?
I mean, I guess if I was queen of some country, I'd wear some tiny tiara for formal events out of respect and tradition for the office, so to speak. But
a tiara out in everyday.
I went to lots of friends' sweet 16 birthday parties that wore their stupid little tiaras, and I always laughed. I always.
But even then, okay, your sweet 16 birthday party. It's
don't give a fuck. You're not a princess.
Absolutely. It's still not. You're a panel judge on a fucking TV game show. Like, at least if your 16th birthday party, you're gonna wear it this one time to be fucking, which in itself is fucking gross. Why is girls turning 16 such a good thing?
Because it's no longer statutory rape.
Other than that,
that's it.
No. Other than that, why is Sweet 16 so good?
It's not.
I mean,
I guess back when
if you're a Mexican, it's a quinceañera at 13 or whatever.
When we were young, we got our driver's license at 16. So there was that. We felt like adults.
Yeah, but that shit's been going on since way longer than that.
But now that's not the case because now you don't get it at 16. So I don't know.
Right. Well, and then who is in charge of that shit? Those were only rich people who will pass through the eye of the needle. Kindergarten fancy dress. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. That's what this broad constantly looked like. Look at her. I mean, she thinks she's some sort of like first lady. Look at her old. with her pearls on and her dignity. And oh, she was just so awful. I want to hear her story though. Kitty Carlisle Hart, born Catherine Conn, Conn. September 3rd, 1910, April 17th, 2007. Bitch was 97 years old, almost 100 years old when she died. Was an American stage and screen actress, opera singer, television personality, and spokesperson for the arts. Oh, come on. Look at that. Who does she look like?
Uncle Fester.
Uncle Fester, she said. And she's right. She does look like Uncle Fester. Like, take the hair off and just go with the face. That looks like Uncle Fester. Oh, that's hilarious.
Or Lurch.
No, not Lurch. 100% Uncle Fester. That's hilarious. She was the leading lady in the Marx Brothers movie A Night at the Opera. The Marx Brothers. The Marx Brothers. We'll just have to do that next. We'll go down that rabbit hole next. You know, how about you? The thing with the eyebrows and the cigars and that kind of. That's them.
Somebody had to make them look attractive. They used her.
But this is going to be part of that narrative where it's like it just sort of. I mean, she's born in 1910. So she's 15 and 25, 20 and 30. Like think about this is a woman who, boy, did the world seemingly change a lot during her lifetime. She was the leading lady in the Marx Brothers movie A Night at the Opera in 35, so at 25 years old. And was a regular panelist on the television game show To Tell the Truth, 1956 to 1978. She served 20 years on the New York State Council of the Arts. So basically, she got paid, to go on TV and be this panelist. And then she got paid to be on the Council of the Arts. In 1991, she received a National Medal of Arts from President George H.W. Bush. Get the fuck out of here. They just can't help it. Right? Because when you look back at so many of these people, these famous inventors or whatever, they always get their medal. They always have some sort of military service that awards them some sort of medal, some sort of distinction. And this broad was given a medal. National medal directly from the president. Think about that. You have the Goyim president handing out medals to useless Jays. A whole ceremony and all these things are taken up. She was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame in 1999. Don't you think that should be reserved for somebody who you could name? Like, that you could, hey, oh yeah, she was in that and that and that and that and that. No, she was just an asshole. Kitty Carlisle was born Catherine Conn. Pronounced Cohen. Conn is pronounced Cohen. It's Cohen's. 2 N's. It's Cohen. Don't you think it's strange? I just realized this last night. The Super Bowl just happens to be in Nolens this year. Where the ISIS attack took place. Haven't heard much about the ISIS attack, have you? Sure seems like the ISIS attack sort of went away. In Nolens, Louisiana, of German Jewish heritage. Is that what you would think? When you think of Nolans, do you think of a bunch of German Jays? No. Her grandfather, Ben Holzman, was a mayor of Shreveport, Louisiana, and a Confederate veteran of the American Civil War. Wait a minute. So when you're trying to say that all of the, like, whenever, oh, the Confederate flag is a symbol of hatred. Huh. That's weird, because it seems like maybe a lot of you were Confederate soldiers. High ranking Confederate soldiers. So maybe maybe it's not true.
Quick question.
Yes.
Seasonal depression. I couldn't think of the word. Sorry.
You're welcome. I'm glad looking at me made you think of seasonal depression. Thank you.
I was thinking of the word that I was looking.
No. He had been a gunner on the CSS Virginia, the Confederate ironclad warship that fought the USS Monitor at the Battle of Hampton Roads. Isn't that? No. Her father, Joseph Cohen, MD, was a gynecologist who died when she was just 10 years old. Her mother, Hortense Holzman Cohen, was eager for her daughter to be accepted by local society. A taxi driver once asked her if her daughter was J, and she answered, "She may be, but I'm not." I mean, just think about this. When I'm telling you that their histories and shit are manufactured, this is Wikipedia. This is this woman's, like, this is a woman who has, you know, she's 90 fucking 6 years old when she died. She has lots and lots of story behind her life. And yet, somehow, within just a couple of minutes or a couple of sentences here, we're finding a conversation had between her mother and a taxi driver is now in the lifelong, this is her history story. Like, do you realize how stupid that is? It's those extra kind of details that point out how stupid it all is, how fake and manufactured it all is. Carlisle's mother took her to Europe in 1921, exactly like fucking everybody did, right? I mean, how many people do you know that were, you know, their grandfather is a Confederate general and their father is a gynecologist and they dies and then they go to Europe. I mean, it's 1910. We all know that traveling in 1921, especially across the ocean, was really fucking easy. You know, really, really easy. We've been able to easily traverse the ocean long before we could drive cars. Well, at least gas-powered cars, because electric cars seem to have been around for a lot longer than we think. Carlisle's mother took her to Europe in 1921, where she hoped Kitty would marry European royalty, believing nobility were more likely to marry a J girl. What? Like, so much of the shit that we hear about them, like Hollywoodism. The entire thing, if I say this stuff, it's somehow anti-Semitism. But if they say this shit, it's like, oh yeah, this is how it is. Do you hear that shit? Her mother took her to Europe in 21, where she hoped Kitty would marry European royalty, believing nobility were more likely to marry a J girl. It says this in her fucking Wikipedia history. Do you realize how insane that is? They traveled around Europe and often lived in what Carlyle recalled as the worst room of the best hotel. Aw, they stayed in the worst room in a best hotel. This is insanity. So they went around Europe, staying in the worst rooms in the best hotels, so her mother could shop her off to different to royalty. I mean, that's what it sounds like, right? Her mother was going around with her all over Europe, believing that royalty was more likely to marry a J girl. And I mean, how did they stay in the best or the worst rooms in the best hotels? And I mean, didn't she have to go to school and shit? Where did she get her schooling from? Well, here we go. Kitty was educated at the Chateau Montchet in Lausanne, Switzerland, then at the Sorbonne and the London Academy of Economics. We're talking about the 1920s. They're just traveling all around Europe, and she's just, what is she taking her records with her everywhere she goes? And like, do you not get how stupid this is? This is wild. Yeah, man, that's the same guy that told us our beards contain poop and how nasty we are to have beards. Absolutely. Those big, long, white guy beards? Are you dumb? Like, okay, so I do love this because I'm talking about a specific bunch of stuff, circumstances, right? This dumbass comes on here and admits that he's been watching me for a while and brings up an argument that I made a long time ago, but because he doesn't want to be proven wrong, probably because he has one of those dumb white guy beards, so he says it wrong. Because, you know, I have a beard right now, right? So I must be talking about the same thing. And look, this doesn't even have to do with, like, this is where those, you're just showing how childish and stupid you are. Because this doesn't have anything to do with, like, political this or anything like that. It's just a common sense thing. If you have a big, long beard and you sit down. So now if I'm sitting down, I'm on the toilet. My elbows are sitting on my knees and I'm sitting on the toilet. My big white guy beard is literally hanging down like in between my legs, right? There's something called displacement, where if you drop an ice cube in some water, the water level rises because the ice cube takes up more space, and that space has to be accounted for. So every time you poop or anything like that, you fart, it's going to displace the area inside the toilet and push the air out the easiest way, the you know, what do they say, the path of least resistance, which is going to go straight up into your beard. You don't believe me? Fucking look it up. Your stupid, ugly white guy beard is full of shit particles. And that's science. That's the narrative that they tell us. So those who believe we went to the moon and all that other stuff, well, it's just another piece of it. Now when you, so now you believe what you're told, you believe what they say? No, I was given the idea by the system. When I thought about it, it made sense. So yeah, I'm going to go with it. But yeah, your beard is full of tons and tons of little shit particles. What about the hair on your head? Well, it's usually pulled back and it doesn't go in between my legs. Like you can try. You can try. I'm going to have a response for whatever you have to say. It is long. It's longer than I thought. Look at this. Long down past my titty, all the way down to my bottom rib and shit. That's crazy. I didn't think it was that long. Anyway, let's get back to it. Kitty Carlisle. Her mother had been whoring her around Europe. She studied acting in London at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. She studied singing with Estelle Liebling, the teacher of Beverly Sills in New York City. All these huge stars of the day that nobody remembers. It's like Jack Black, right? Like somebody like Brad Pitt, he'll be remembered. But somebody like Jack Black, people will be like, Jack Black? Is that his real name? The fuck was this guy? Like nobody, 100 years from now, nobody will know who Jack Black was. All right. After returning to New York in 1932. Okay, so in 1921, her mother moved her to Europe. She was 11 years old, where she was educated at multiple different places and then studied acting at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. All of which was done by 1932. So now she's 22 and this girl is After returning to New York in 1932 with her mother, she went everywhere with her mother. She appeared, billed as Kitty Carlisle on Broadway in several operettas and musical comedies, and in the American premiere of Benjamin Britten's The Rape of Lucreta. Yeah, that's how that works. Just think about that, right? Again, we're not talking about the most talented, the best looking. She is very mediocre. And yet, she just comes back from Europe and she's getting all these roles. That's how that works for people, right? And then, because look how funny that is. Look, with the mustache and the hair and the cigar. Oh, it's so funny every time I see it. She she also sang the title role in George Bizet's Carmen in Salt Lake City. Man, she was like in demand. Having come right out of school all the way across the fucking planet in Europe. This is 1930s. We're in the middle of a depression. Right? Everything sucks right now as far as kind of funny how her mother took her to Europe during the whole bad part of the depression, huh? The country's in a bad way, and this ugly J broad is just nailing roll after roll after roll all across the country. Whether it's New York, Salt Lake City, whatever. No way we landed on the moon. Absolutely not. That's fucking stupid. You know what? I don't need to read any more of this dumb broad. I don't need to do it. It's fucking stupid. It's a waste of time. Did we go to the moon? Like, it's one of these things where I don't want to tell you to think, how to think, right? Or I don't want to tell you what to think. I want to tell you how to think, because that's what's important. They control how we think. And if they control how you think, then what you think is just secondary. They can adjust that however they want. So if you accept the idea that our we're just the best and that our government would never lie to us. Like if they have you with just that like blanket sort of racist, you know, foolish, we're the best and our leadership is the best and they only do the best, then they have you right off the bat. But as soon as you start like using your brain, one thing you have to do is allow yourself to do it. I think the majority of us, when watching things, especially, I mean, maybe we've trained ourselves not to do it as much, as time has gone on. But you see the thing that's wrong. You see, when you watch TV, you're like, holy shit, there sure are a lot of J's. But then you just tell yourself, oh, I'm not allowed to think that way. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Oh, shit like that. Right? So the main thing is you need to allow yourself to do it. And one of the things that you have to reteach yourself is to look at the background. Because most things that you look at the thing you're supposed to look at. The guy dancing. Look at all those old 20s things where the guy is, Charlie Chaplin is standing on top of the rooftop doing these crazy dance, and you're like, holy shit, that's crazy. That's so dangerous. You're not like, who the fuck built all that shit in the background? We're talking skyscrapers. What? I always encourage you, if you happen to see any camp footage, the camps, if you happen to see any of that camp footage, don't look at the because remember, when you're watching the foreground, when you're watching the Jays being liberated, you never ever see one like, yay! Oh, we're finally free. Thank you. Thank God. Oh, I'm so happy. I love you. Not one fucking time have you seen anyone being liberated from a camp that was anything other than
I don't think in school they showed us footage of people being liberated.
There's a
All we
few.
saw was videos, like we'd see video clips of, the
In the camp where you'd see the people like walking or standing looking from the other side of the fence. But that's more to the point. Look at the background. Don't look at the surprisingly still fat.
Okay, so when they would show that, it would be in a classroom history video. So that image
She's talking about a reel to reel in her case.
It would just be on the screen for 30 seconds while they say a quick thing, and then they go to the next image.
They don't even. No, it's more like 3 seconds. So you don't do that.
You don't get a chance to see
right
the whole thing. So
absolutely, she's right. But that's what I'm saying.
Images are not the ones that are in our history books. You get a few pictures here and there.
Pictures are a completely different thing. Pictures can be like there's this really famous picture. There's actually a couple of famous pictures that are supposedly from the camps, which turn out to be from the Stalin gulags, but they've just photoshopped this or that. Like there's a whole group of people who have put in a lot of work to show that, and you can find it. There's a movie called 6 Million Lies. If you can find it.
See the Holocaust Museum just for that fact, but I can't trust taking you in there. We'd end up in jail.
I doubt it. Why would we end up in jail?
Or kicked out.
Maybe. But the thing you have to do is you have to retrain yourself. So as soon as you see the foreground and you see the standard actors, like the fellowship for the Christians and Jays, look at those commercials. Really look at them. Why are all those women surprisingly still fat? Not a single one of them is gaunt, skinny, pale, marked up, no sores, no. You have to use your brain. Don't just watch it and then just be, oh, that's how it is. Think about things. If this old forgotten Jay is so poor and she has to fetch her own pails of water and she walks like this and she would have marks all over her body. Old people do. Just old people do. They fall down and shit. I got this old guy down the street that we see all the time. He is the most fucked up, disheveled looking. You would think he's on every drug imaginable. And he's just this old fucked up guy. No teeth and shit. And he's always falling. He's always hurting himself. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely denying the hoax as they tell us it is. Abso-fucking-lutely. Now, I'm supposedly from a camp survivor, so you can't talk to me about shit. My grandfather is supposedly a camp survivor. I more think we're Operation Paperclip, but the narrative that I'm supposed to think is that we're camp survivors. You know, one of the biggest aspects, like it's all just bullshit. It really is bullshit. You know, there were only 3 million of them in Europe at the time. And most of them escaped here. So it's not like all 3 million were just... I mean, you just have to, like I say, you have to look at things for what they're telling you. You know, and one of the things is that they were identified because they had to wear a sleeve, a star sleeve, or pin a star to their jacket. So instead of just taking that shit off and going about their business, leaving, doing whatever, they wore the stars. Come on, how stupid is that? Your people keep disappearing all around you, even though no one's talking about it. And you're like, no, I'm gonna keep wearing this thing. I don't know why. Like, it's stupid. You just don't realize how stupid that is. And it's all about these little smoking guns. And like I was saying, with the background shit, once you get past looking at the foreground, every time you see one of those camp images, look at the background. Nothing is going on. You would think if it's this horrible camp and you'd see people walking in the background. You'd see all kinds of horrible shit happening in the backgrounds. Nope. Nope. And see, so many people are stupid and think that only the Jays were in the camps. They weren't. The Polish were. The Polish were the first, supposedly. And it's only because the Polish would refuse to give the Germans back their people. At least that's what the historical narrative sort of says. You know, the whole thing about the Jays is just stupid and it's been blown out of proportion. And it's not real. They weren't cooking anybody. It's just not a thing. The big ovens were for getting rid of shit. The fact is, there's just no proof of any of it. It's not one of those things. And Jay's got $1,000 a month. And it was something that could get passed on. So if your grandmother was in it, you know, when she died, it went to the mother, then went to you or whatever. It's fucking crazy. That the whole hoax narrative is crazy. And it was laid out. That's what we'll look up. Let's look up Albert Pike. Let's have a good time today, peoples. Albert Pike. Let's see what Wikipedia tells us about Albert Pike. Albert Pike, December 29th, 1809 to April 2nd, 1891. Funny how all these historical figures just live forever, huh? Was an American author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, jurist, and Confederate States Army general who served as an associate justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court in exile from 1864 to 1865. Wow, that's a long service there. He had previously served as a senior officer of the Confederate States Army, commanding the District of Indian Territory in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. Oh, shit. Trans-Mississippi? Damn. You probably hate that now, huh? A prominent member of the Freemasons, Pike served as the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council, Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction from 1859 to 1891. But, it's just a silly boys club. There's no significance behind it. Yeah, that's all.
Jesus Christ.
Nope, me.
These are at the one Blessing Box place. Those are really nice. They open like doors. The DoorDash or Uber Eats driver brought her food, stole these whole boxes. You're only supposed to take one item, and then stole these 3 boxes. The box and all the contents. Stole it.
And she knows the Uber driver did it?
Oh, there's cameras everywhere.
Okay, so yeah.
Oh yeah, they're fucked. But Mike, who does that?
Desperate people. Desperate fucking
people.
people.
One box is the special diet box, like gluten free and all that.
They can sell it.
The homeless supply box.
Yeah.
People suck.
Let's see. Early life and education. Albert Pike was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Used to have a girlfriend that would say Massachusetts. And I would say, why the fuck do you say Massachusetts?
Right.
What word are you, how, do you not hear other people say it? I always wonder when people say shit wrong like that. Do you not hear it? Is there something going wrong in your head? One of my buddies used to say, I have no idea. I have no idea why that would happen. And I'd be like, dude, why do you say ideal? Ideal means something else. And he's like, yeah, but it just doesn't sound right. Idea doesn't sound right. Ideal sounds right.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, well, Felix.
Right.
A dude who told me his girlfriend is half Jewish. What the fuck does that mean? That's not a thing. Like, do you ever identify as that? Oh, what race are you? Oh, I'm Christian. I'm Christian. I got a little bit of Hindu in me, and just a touch of Muslim. Just a touch of Muslim. Yeah. You know how stupid you would sound if you said that? Like, oh, I'm half Christian. What? The son of Benjamin and Sarah Andrews Pike. He grew up in Byfield and Newburyport, Massachusetts. His colonial ancestors had settled the area in 1635. Of course they had settled it. Not his colonial ancestors settled the area. They had settled the area. And included John Pike, 1613 to 1688-89. Not sure. The founder of Woodbridge, New Jersey. He founded Woodbridge, New Jersey. Gotcha. He attended school at Newburyport and Framingham until he was 15. In August 1825, he passed entrance exams at Harvard University. Because Harvard's a lot older than we think it is.
It's the widest tongue in the world.
Look at that smile on her face.
Right, that's what they said. Sort of his proud wife with the biggest smile in the world.
Right. She knows.
Oh, that's gross, though.
That tongue can get through all of that. Because there's a lot there. Though when the college requested payment for tuition fees for the first 2 years, he chose not to attend. He began a program of self-education, later teaching school in Gloucester, New Bedford, Fairhaven, and Newburyport. How does somebody self-educate in 1830? What are they using?
Pounds of Dead Sea Scrolls, and then read them when they were done.
Might as well. I mean, when you're saying this shit, it's like maybe it's this romantic sort of story. They romanticize it by, oh, he's self-educated, but like how? What did this man do in his life? He's a what? 25. He's in August of 25. He passed the Harvard exam. So he was 16 when he passed the Harvard exam. But then he chose not to pay for it and decided self-education. So from like 16, what was he doing? Just walking around in his Shakespearean getup? You know, because everybody else back then was so hardworking and everything. It's not like you could offer shit to do. Can I cut your lawn, sir? No, get out of here. Like, I cut my own lawn. I'm a proud 1820-somethings. You generations from today, you don't know what you're doing. You know, because they said those same things. Pike was an imposing figure, 6 feet tall and 300 pounds, with hair that reached his shoulders and a long beard. So again, how do you get to be 300 pounds back then? What abundance were you privy to? Especially as this, you know. I mean, I don't know. What was he? What his parents were, they don't even say, like, where was he generationally wealthy? Is that how he was just able to eat so much 1830s borscht and shit? Like, what the fuck were they eating? What extravagance was this young man privy to that he could be so big and imposing? In 1831, he left Massachusetts to travel west, first stopping in Nashville, Tennessee. This is by horseback, I would assume, horse carriage. I mean, and then we think about this. So back then, if you were going to go from your cushy, Massachusetts homeland west, how the fuck could his first stop be Nashville, Tennessee? That would be your first stop if you were driving. If you were trying to drive, it would take you about that much time driving if you could make it to Tennessee before you'd be like, all right, it's time for a little break. How long do you think it would take this man to go from New York to Tennessee on his way out west in 1831? Does this stuff, like, am I the only one that thinks about these things, or do you just accept it? And then again, on the way, where was he staying? What was he eating? He was a 6 foot, 300 pound guy. That's shorter than me and 100 plus more pounds. It takes a lot to maintain that stature. So where was he? Was he hunting and trapping along the way while sleeping underneath the stars in his tents and ironing his Shakespearean clothing? And I mean, what? Come on, think about this.
They they slept in those clothes, didn't they, when they were traveling?
They would have to. I mean, I don't know. There's no. They just yada yada. Again, how is going from Massachusetts to his first stop couldn't be there. How many miles could you possibly travel in 1831 by conveyance, whatever that may be? Again, I'm not sure. What are they saying he used? Right? Was he traveling with one of these electric cars that we see from back then? How about those one wheel cycles that you sit in with, like, the wheel that goes around you? Like in fucking, it's crazy, but it's in Borderlands, actually. I can't believe I just made that connection right now. In the newest Borderland games, those cycles are one of the things that. Think about how crazy that shit is. How the fuck was he traveling? This shit bugs me. I don't know why everybody's so cool with it. It bugs me. What?
This is what I want. Wait, they show several different things.
Yeah.
They're fucking awesome. That's what I want.
They're a pain in the fucking ass. I used to sell them.
Really?
Yeah, they're older than you think.
Oh, I want one.
Well, let's put one in our backyard. He later moved to St. Louis, Missouri, where he joined a hunting and trading expedition to Taos, New Mexico. En route, his horse broke and ran, forcing Pike to walk the remaining 500 miles. He walked the 500 miles. How long would that
This bitch
take?
called me last night because she couldn't even walk, half mile, whatever, 3/4. Couldn't do it.
Down the street.
Yeah. Straight down the street.
He walked 500 miles. How long would that take? I know it only took the Mexicans that were luckily on this side of the Panama Canal when they invaded the United States, like they're doing again all of a sudden. It only took them a week to get from down there to up here. Suddenly, they were supposed to take like a month and a half, but it only took a week because the news needed it to. But how long would it take a human to walk 500 miles? And that's part of his story. After this, he joined a trapping expedition to the Llano Escatu, I don't know, in New Mexico and Texas. Trapping was minimal, and after traveling about 1,300 miles, half of it on foot, he finally arrived at Fort Smith, Arkansas. That's a lot of yada yada. That is a lot of yada yada. Career. Oh, here we go. They always pose the same way. This was the cool way to pose back then. Setting in Arkansas in 1833, Pike taught in a school and wrote a series of articles for the Little Rock, Arkansas Advocate under the pen name of Casca. Right, because, everybody back then had all these different aliases and shit. It's not that they're just sewing together a bunch of stories. No, everybody just had aliases. Yeah, he walked it on the 600-foot fucking frame. Exactly. Exactly. There you go. You're starting to get it. The articles were sufficiently well received for him to be asked to join the newspaper staff. Under Pike's administration, the Advocate promoted the viewpoint of the Whig Party in a politically volatile and divided Arkansas in December of 1832. Yeah, that was a particularly bad year for Arkansas politics. After marrying Mary Ann Hamilton in 1834, he purchased the newspaper. Yeah. Yeah. On foot. He paid him in steps. He was the first reporter for the Arkansas Supreme Court. He wrote a book published anonymously, of course. Of course. I mean, why would you not publish your book anonymously? Why would you want the revenue and shit from whatever book sales you get? How would you even get that revenue? How did you publish books back in 1830 something? How were those publishings distributed?
You asked too many questions.
That's not too many questions. These are book questions. Like, let's just say I'm in 1832 and I wrote a book. How do I go about getting it published and then mass distributed all over the world? Oh, thanks a lot. See, she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
I said you asked too many questions and then you asked another one. So
these dumb Jays. This is the story these dumb Jays give. Don't believe this shit is real. I'm reading about a character these dumb Jays put forth so that they can control the narrative. That's all this is. Do not think this is something real. The title, The Arkansas Form Book, which was a guidebook for lawyers. Pike began to study law and was admitted to the bar in 1837. Is this after he wrote that book? Or selling the Advocate the same year. At least one source indicates that Pike read Kent and Blackstone and was admitted to the bar in 1834 by Superior Court Judge Thomas J. Lacey after a prefunctionary examination. That's at least one story that's given, I guess, right? Because in so many of these cases, we have all of these fucking useless, mundane details. Well, the famous poet of the time parodied the project in 4 lines of the poem, blah, 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 lines 126 to 129. What? Those kind of details make the story, but how this guy actually got to be a lawyer, well, not really sure. He proved to be a highly effective lawyer, representing clients in courts at every level. I just love thinking about that, right? You know, it's 1830, 1840, whatever. And so the buildings existed. You know, these big giant fucking courthouses that still stand to this day in some cases. Or the pictures of them show these just opulent, Greek dome structures with giant columns all made of marble and all. Of course it burnt down like so many stone buildings do.
Of course.
Right, right. Stone catches fire super easily, guys. Super easily. Especially really hard shit like granite and marble. Like
Yes.
I actually know a recipe where
Shut
you
up.
can blow shit up. You can make explosives with just a piece of granite and a match. You just
Oh
got to
man.
tape the match
Is
to
your
the
last name
granite.
MacGyver?
Guy. What do you think my name is short for? All this time you didn't know my name's MacGyver Williams. That's where it came. Yeah, that's where they got the idea. Anyway, you tape the match to the granite piece of granite. How make sure you don't overdo it, right?
Oh my
But
god.
the mat use a wood match because you don't want a floppy match. But